You're listening to The Drew Yari Show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Wednesday as we're currently recording. It's 7:03 p.m. Central Time, and it's just me tonight. Just a solo show, kind of like last week. A couple things I need to kind of point out. I don't know why I say kind of. I know I said last week I was going to switch over to Anchor, officially. I've had a change of heart. I'm sticking on Spreaker. Until further notice, pretty much, I'm gonna stay on Spreaker. Was not liking so far what I saw from Anchor. Not to say that Anchor is bad. You know, Anchor is a nice app and everyone should use it. I still use it, especially if I have like RJ on. I'll just record on my phone on Anchor. But I'm gonna keep Spreaker. Spreaker is gonna stay in my home until I say fit. So that's that. And I mean, it's really about it. For the most part, you're going to see a lot of solo shows on here. Partly due to the fact of just everyone's schedule. And you're going to be hearing a lot of that as well, unfortunately. Because I like to usually record on Wednesdays. I like to kind of get everything done just so, you know, we have something that's out of the way pretty much. RJ, I know, is off on Wednesdays, but, you know, he's off doing RJ things. I'm not going to stop him doing that. I'm not going to hold someone over a barrel just to do the show. So, I'm not going to force somebody to do the show if they don't have time. So, RJ's off doing RJ things, and I'm happy. I want him to spread his wings and fly, so to speak. And then Monty's doing Monty things. You know, Monty is living his life, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to put his business out in the air. So, it's just, at the end of the day, it's all about scheduling. It's all about trying to get everybody on. And I'm not really, this isn't really me trying to sound like I'm mad. I'm really not. I mean, I'm happy that everybody has their own life. You know what I mean? And it's also fun to do solo shows every now and then. Even though they kind of do suck. Because I kind of hate solo shows, personally, because it's just like I need someone to bounce shit off of. But, you know, whatever. But yeah, for the most part, you're going to be seeing more solo shows, kind of like it was, well, pretty much for the last, I guess, year of last year, before I started doing more guest spots. But yeah, that's pretty much getting all the personal shit out of the way. I'm currently recording as Dynamite is on. And the first match is Matt Hardy versus Orange Cassidy, which you can imagine how much I want to see this match. I have zero interest in this match. So that's why I have it on mute. I know CM Punk is supposed to come out and do something, which we'll see how that works. So let's kind of get let's just kind of get the obvious thing out of the way. So last Friday, CM Punk debuted on AEW Rampage, which started directly after Friday Night SmackDown, and it was hosted at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Not the Rosemont, whatever the fuck you want to call it, center. The United Center, where the Chicago Bulls won 6 NBA championships. Which I don't think they won the first 3 championships in the United Center. I know they won the last 3, but it's an NBA arena. It's a big arena. It's a big time show. It's a big time place. You know, the arena sold out by even the rumor that CM Punk was going to come out. Which goes to show how much power this guy has. So, I watched the show just out of curiosity, like everybody else, and I have my phone on just so I can record, my reaction. CM Punk's music hits, and at first I'm thinking it's a fake. I'm thinking it has to be like MJF or somebody that's pretending to be CM Punk. But no, it's the real deal. It's CM Punk. And he looks happy. He looks relieved. That he's finally back. Because CM Punk hasn't been in a wrestling company since January of 2014. Night after Royal Rumble. So, for him, this is a big deal. For the fans, it's a big deal. So just to see his reaction, because he looked happy. I mean, that was the one thing a lot of people were saying, like Shaheen, who doesn't really watch too much wrestling nowadays, but he was even saying Punk looks happy. And we'll get to the after, the after show interview with Tony Khan. So yeah, Punk comes out, and they run out of song. Which is so crazy. They run out of song to Cult of Personality because the fans won't stop chanting CM Punk. I mean, there was the infamous photo of the guy in the stands that was crying. Which apparently that guy's famous now, so it goes to show you how crazy the show is. And then they go to commercial break for 90 seconds. Even I was going to call him Delirious, not Delirious. Whatever his fucking name is, Mark. The Mark in the fucking in the mask. Saying, we'll be back in exactly 90 seconds. They come back from commercial and Punk is still in the ring and people are chanting his name. And then he gets on the mic saying, "You guys really know how to make a guy feel like Britt Baker in our hometown." Gets on the mic and just says the usual spiel. I've been out for 7 years and I understand everyone's frustration, but, I wasn't going to get healthy in the same company that made me sick in the first place. Which a lot of people seem to have a problem with him bashing WWE, but it wasn't really bashing. It was just telling us what we already knew. If anyone can listen to Colt Cabana's podcast, back in 2014, where he talks about what happened in WWE. He got sick. He had a staph infection that went unnoticed for, 3 months? I mean, to their credit, they didn't know that it was a staph infection, or maybe they did, I don't know. But they had no idea it was a staph infection. He didn't know it was a staph infection. And we all know the story from there. Take a Z-Pack. But what was I going to say next? I mean, it was a nice promo. He didn't really say anything that was scathing. It wasn't like he came out and did the whole, fuck WWE, I took their brass ring and blah, blah. No, he just said, I wasn't going to stay healthy in the company that made me, sick the first place. Because I think if we all knew CM Punk was coming back to wrestling, it wasn't going to be to WWE. Like, that bridge is burnt. He has no love lost for Vince McMahon. Triple H claims that him and Punk spoke about a year and a half ago. Punk hasn't really said anything about it, so I don't know. But, AEW seemed like the logical fit because AEW, to their credit, they take care of their top guys. Tony Khan, I don't want to say he's a bad person. I don't really think he's a bad person at heart. I mean, he's kind of a goof, personally, but I don't think he's a bad person at heart. I just think he's a little over his head, in my opinion, but fuck, that was unprofessional. No, I'm glad Vince McMahon didn't see that. But Punk gave a nice interview. The place even went wild when he just sat, crisscross and showed his new shirt, which sold out in like seconds. Even the friggin' website, was it Pro Wrestling Tees, crashed simply because of CM Punk. So if you didn't want to get a CM Punk shirt, you were shit out of luck because the whole website fucking crashed because of CM Punk. Darby Allin and Sting happened to be in attendance, up in the balcony, which didn't really bother me. Because was it Darby Allin made the comments about CM Punk, saying talking about the best in the world shtick, which was pretty obvious he was referring to CM Punk. And then Punk, called out Darby Allin saying, I'm calling you out to a match at All In and blah blah blah. So we got that, Punk's first match in 7.5 years, but 7.5 years is going to be at All Out. Was it September the 5th? I believe. So we're definitely going to be watching that. It's going to be in Chicago, so it's going to be a big time deal. You might as well make that the main event. Because who exactly is Kenny Omega facing at All Out? And does it really matter? Does it really matter at this point? CM Punk should be the main event. No other match should bother being the main event. This should be the fucking main event. Jim Cornette had the perfect way to describe it. I don't know who the mayor of Chicago is, but he's got competition. Oh man, Matt has a broken nose. Fuck, that doesn't look too good. So let's look at the ratings. Friday's episode of Rampage drew 1.129 million viewers, which not bad, because that was more than last week. But hey. It's definitely not SmackDown numbers, which they drew, a 2.1. We'll get to Raw ratings. I don't think the NXT ratings have come out yet. Even Impact had a rise in ratings. Granted, it's Impact. But let me look for the CM Punk quote with Tony Khan after the show. Okay, let's look these up. Okay, where's the interview? Where the hell is the interview? Okay. You gotta be kidding me. I just saw the interview like 2 days ago. And Malachi Black is talking in the dark. Okay, can we find the interview? Come on. Yeah, I can't find shit. I know. Okay, let me try to recall what the interview had said. So, I know Punk said that him and Tony have been talking pretty much since AEW started. So for the past 2 years, and they were just talking about how to get a deal in place. I know he said Renee Young bringing him onto the backstage show is what really got him back into wrestling. I know he said that he never exactly hated wrestling to begin with. He would still watch, old school matches like Terry Funk, what have you. Let's see. He said, Sting had told him personally, I can't wait to work with you. I wish I would have gotten to work with you when I was in my prime. I was trying to think of some other names. Yeah, just that's really the gist of the interview. I know Tony Khan says it's a full-time deal. He's not going to be a part-timer or, just... he's not just going to be a part-timer, pretty much. He's actually there for the long haul. As far as, wrestling matches every week, we don't know. He hasn't really divulged that. When they brought up the possibility of him going to Japan, he said, it's something... He's pretty much said it's something that's, on my bucket list, but, we're not really thinking about that now. But that's really kind of the gist of the interview. I wish I could find the actual transcript of the interview. But I'm happy for CM Punk to be in AEW. I think him being in the company is going to help. Not just the company, but wrestling. I can see him... I could definitely see him wanting to go to Japan. Because I know he did an interview, a long time ago with, who is it, Samoa Joe? No, not Samoa Joe. I know he said before he never exactly wanted to go to the WWE. He wanted to try New Japan. He wanted to try A, B, and C. But it's WWE. It's the biggest wrestling company in the world. You gotta be a star. And he made the most of it. He became a star. He broke barriers. He grabbed all of Vince McMahon's quote-unquote brass rings. But at the end of the day, they didn't see him as more than what they thought he was. The guy never main evented WrestleMania, which he should have. When they decided to do Rock and Cena Part 2, the better idea to really kind of enhance that match would to have put CM Punk in it. Make it a triple threat, because CM Punk was the champion. And of course, CM Punk had his dealings with John Cena. CM Punk had his dealings with The Rock. That could have been your Mania main event, but according to Punk, Undertaker wanted somebody to work with. And whatever Undertaker gets, whatever Undertaker wants, Undertaker gets. And that ended up being the best match on the card, but you could tell CM Punk did not give two shits about the match, because the build of the match was just, hey, let's have a fatal 4-way match to see who gets to face the Undertaker, instead of it being the old school of, CM Punk comes out and calls out the Undertaker. Why didn't they just do that? The old school trope. That would have made the match more meaningful. Instead, it's just let's just treat it like a regular match, with really no build or no one really giving two shits. And just Punk made it very clear, I did not give a fuck about beating the Undertaker. I did not give a fuck about wrestling. And he made it very clear he had no heat with Taker. It wasn't really a Taker problem. It was a creative problem. And, they had the best match on the card, and it felt like it didn't mean anything. So, that was Taker's problem. I know a lot of people, not Taker, that was Punk's problem. I know a lot of people took issue with Punk, doing making the comments about, I'm not going to stay healthy if I'm going to stay with the same company that made me sick in the first place. People were looking at it as oh, be grateful because they made you famous. They made you a star. You met your wife. And it's you guys just don't seem to get the point. He knows that the company made him famous. He knows if it wasn't for working in WWE, he more than likely wouldn't have met his wife. So it's not that. It's the principle. All the money in the world cannot bring you happiness. Technically it kind of did, because it brought him his wife. But that's not a money issue. The issue is that the company they didn't see him as a star. And all the money in the world can't fix that feeling. So it's a pride thing. And obviously, CM Punk is a prideful man. Phil Brooks is a very prideful man. So, for anyone that does the whole, oh, he should be grateful, they made him a star. It's you guys just don't seem to get it. You guys just really don't seem to get it. At all. It's about your principle. It's about your honor and your code and your pride. At the end of the day, it's all about pride. So, I don't really have an issue with what CM Punk said. I don't. Obviously Booker T did. Booker T said, that he felt like the promo was a miss because he mentioned WWE. It's No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I mean, I've seen more scathing promos of ex-WWE guys. This wasn't really a scathing promo. I mean, everything he said in the interview was scathing. In the interview with Colt Cabana was scathing. That was really not scathing. I think Punk is already past it. He's moved on. He said what he needed to say, and that was a good promo. So for anyone that has a problem with it, everyone that wants to be Team WWE gung-ho, whatever. But you guys you are obviously not getting the point. So. But that was CM Punk. Chris Jericho's on now talking about his future, which should I even bother listening to it? Let me just unmute it real quick to see what he's going to say.
JF has been driving me literally crazy. It's a mantra inside my head. It's an earworm that won't go away. Beat MJF, beat MJF, beat MJF, beat MJF, beat MJF, and I have it! And the thing is, Max,
let me turn it down because I don't want to get fucked with by Tony Khan.
Attacking you every single week in the ring, backstage, at your house, any chance I get until it's over. I don't give a shit.
Oh, he cussed.
And that's why I have a proposal for you on a way that we can end this.
Oh,
so
God.
if you come out here right now, I'll be happy to fill you in. All right. I hope you're listening backstage because I think you're going to want to hear this. This is my proposal. I'm proposing one more match. One final fight at All Out on September 5th. And I've been thinking about this long and hard, and I'm serious when I say this. If I can't beat MJF, maybe I don't belong in AEW anymore.
Yeah, I give two shits. Okay. I mean, because I'm assuming that the last match was the last match. I thought we were done with this feud, but I suppose not. So anyways, let's move on to SummerSlam. SummerSlam was on Sunday. Or Saturday, actually. Oh shit, I'm on the wrong page. It was on Saturday, August the 21st, at Allegiant Stadium in Paradise, Nevada. Not Las Vegas, Nevada. Paradise, Nevada. Attendance was 51,326. Tagline is your summer vacation destination. So let's look at the matches. Pre-show match was Big E defeating Baron Corbin. The stipulation supposedly was Baron Corbin had stolen Big E's Money in the Bank briefcase, and if Big E won, he would get it back, which is kind of a stupid stipulation. Because I don't know. Isn't in the Money in the Bank briefcase like Big E's name already signed? So if Baron Corbin ever did cash in, Big E can be like, that's my world title you're holding, dude. So I don't know. I mean, I like the Baron Corbin stuff. I like what he's doing, and I like Big E. At the same time, I'm not sold on Big E as a top guy just yet, which is weird because they've been pushing him for almost a year. I don't know, just something that's just not clicking yet for him as a top guy. But Big E won. The match was 6 minutes and 35 seconds, and he got his Money in the Bank briefcase back. Now we move on to the main show. The first match of the show was RK Bro versus AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Team Championships. The match was 7 minutes and 5 seconds. RK Bro wins, which deservedly so. I liked it. It was a great way to start the show. It was a great way to get the fans in. Matt Riddle is over. I mean, Matt Riddle's over. There's no denying that the guy's over. They love his catchphrase. They love him. I mean, it also helps that he's good in the ring. So he's doing just fine. And Randy Orton looks like he's enjoying himself on there. Whenever Randy Orton enjoys himself, you're going to see Randy Orton actually go out there and try. So he looks like he's having fun with this. And, you know, the fact that you have a foe in AJ and Omos works. And it looks like we're continuing this feud, which I'm happy. I'm glad with. I'm not complaining about this feud continuing at all. You know, the next pay-per-view is not Elimination Chamber, Extreme Rules. Like, that's going to be the next pay-per-view. So I hope this feud continues. I'm not opposed to it at all. I like all four of these guys, including Omos. I think Omos is great. Next, we have Alexa Bliss defeating Ava Marie in a singles match. I don't care. Next, we have Damian Priest defeating Sheamus for the United States Championship. The match was 13 minutes and 50 seconds. I enjoyed the match. I mean, the match was a little slow. And you can tell the audience was probably a little drained after the previous match, that, you know, Alexa Bliss shit. So they were still trying to get back into the show. But, you know, in the second half of the match, that's when things started to pick up. Because I was getting a little worried. I'm like, is the crowd not liking Damian Priest? But it wasn't really there. It wasn't really the performer's fault, because Damian Priest I love. I think he's amazing. I think he's over. I mean, pretty soon that's your WrestleMania main event right there. Damian Priest versus Bobby Lashley. I mean, they teased that on Monday. And Sheamus has gotten so damn good. Oh my God, Julia Hart is so cute. She is so adorable. It's creepy because I feel creepy because I'm 32 years old and she's 19. But she's cute as a button. I think she's great. Brian Pillman's a star. Griff Garrison, not crazy about him at all. But anyways, let's get back to things. The second half of the match really picked up. The crowd really livened up, and, you know, Priest won. I like the bit in the match where he rips off Sheamus's mask, and he wins clean as a whistle. I was worried that Miz and Morrison were going to interfere. I mean, I'm obviously glad that they didn't. You know, they came out later in the night to do a weird bit with whatchamacallit, with Xavier Woods, which made no sense, which we're not even going to talk about that. That should have just been a pre-show thing. But Damian Priest is the new United States champion, and that title looks goddamn good on him, I'm not going to lie. It looks good on him. And I'm glad he's the United States United States champion. He deserves to be. He's over, and the crowd loves him. And I love him. We all love him. Next, you have the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Usos defeating Rey Mysterio and Dominic. It's 10 minutes and 50 seconds. It wasn't a bad match. I mean, because the Usos always have good matches, you know. And Rey Mysterio and Dominic as a team works. If it's like Dominic by himself, that's a completely different story. But I didn't think the match was all that bad. I mean, I thought their last match, the pre-show match at TakeOver, was a little bit better than this match. But, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was predictable. You already knew that the Usos are going to win. Next, you have what was supposed to be Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. It was announced even before the show that Sasha Banks was not going to appear, because I know during the week it was being said that that both Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair were probably not going to show up for SummerSlam. SmackDown, you know, or the day of SmackDown, Bianca Belair had announced that she was going to show up. Sasha Banks was still a, you know, I guess a gang time decision. But lo and behold, the announcer said that Sasha Banks was not able to compete. They bring out Carmella, which the whole place just goes silent and angry. And I just remember thinking to myself, not Carmella. Like, are they seriously going to go with Carmella? Really? Like, really? Come on. And I remember right when I put that, Steve from Hammerlock Hangover he just said, wait for it. And then Becky Lynch's music hits, and the whole place goes fucking apeshit bananas. Like, I remember I was eating noodles when when her music hit, and I'm like a deer caught in the headlights. As soon as I heard her music, as soon as I heard that beginning of that do 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 do, I just turned and went, "What the fuck?" And it's Becky. Becky's back, and I'm glad Becky's back. We haven't seen Becky in like a year and a half. You know, it was the night after Money in the Bank when she came out. And she relinquished her title to Asuka, who just won Money in the Bank. And then she made the announcement that she was pregnant. So, I'm glad Becky's back. Yay, Becky's back. And she beats the shit out of Carmella, which I liked. Which I'm fine with. I'm fine with Carmella getting the shit, kicked out of her. And then she tells Bianca, how's about you defend that title against the man? The EST versus the man. And then Bianca accepts, and when the match starts... Bianca reaches her hand out, and Becky reaches her hand out as well, but sucker punches Bianca and puts her in I forget, it was like a rock bottom, like a variation of a rock bottom, and pins Bianca, and now she's the new SmackDown Women's Champion, which a lot of people were not too happy about. I wasn't happy about it either because I kind of wanted to be more competitive. I knew Becky was going to win. I just wish it wasn't a squash match. But I know it's leading somewhere. But here's the thing. Here's what I want to happen, because Becky's over as fuck. She's the most over woman on the roster now. I mean, she was the most over woman on the roster then, but now that she's back, she's now the most over woman on the roster. Bianca, I've always said I love her. I think she's amazing. She's a shitty babyface. I do not like her as a babyface. This is the perfect way to make her a heel and to get all that heat back and to get that character back. Is you put her in the ring with the most over woman in the company. And also the most over woman in the business. Supposedly WWE is going another route. The talk is that Becky wants to work heel. Which I don't really have I don't have too much of a problem with that because Becky can be a heel. I mean, she's proven that before. That's how she got herself over. I don't really know how you make Becky a heel when people like her. And people are kind of, I don't want to say indifferent to Bianca, because Bianca actually gets a reaction. Like, people actually do literally like Bianca. It's not like a thing of, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. Like, it's not a thing of, like, she's a forced babyface. Like, Bianca is a very likable person. And it's hard not to like her. It's not like a Nikki Ash thing, which we'll talk about in a bit. Like, Bianca actually does get over. She was getting a reaction when she came out in front of that crowd. And same thing at Mania. But I don't know how you're going to make that work. I really don't. I mean, then again, what do I know? Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it'll work. But we're going to have to see how that works out. But as of now, Becky Lynch is now the new SmackDown Women's Champion. And SmackDown seems like the show to watch. As of late. Next, we have Drew McIntyre defeating Jinder Mahal. With Veer and Shanky banned from ringside. Drew McIntyre won. Match was... the Becky and Bianca match was 26 seconds. Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal's match was 4 minutes and 40 seconds. I mean... This is obviously something for Drew to do. Obviously something, because you want to keep him out of the title picture. It looks like they were teasing a match with him and Damian Priest, which would be interesting. I wouldn't mind that at all. But again, it comes down to who's the heel and who's the babyface. I would rather it just be Drew McIntyre as a heel, and you have Damian Priest as the babyface. That's just my opinion. Yeah, this match I could have done without. But it was obviously something for Drew to do. Next you have Charlotte Flair, Nikki Ash, Almost a Superhero, and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat for the Raw Women's Championship. Match was 13 minutes and 4 seconds. Charlotte winning by making Nikki Ash tap out. Predictable. I mean, because Nikki's gimmick was not working. And I know the whole thing was that she wanted the gimmick. It was her idea. And listen, I like Nikki. I love Nikki as a person. She is a sweetheart, by all counts, by anyone who knows her and who's ever hung out with her. But it's just like, everyone's a nice person. My mom is a nice person, but I don't want to see my mom as the Raw Women's Champion. I don't want to see my mom main event, Monday Night Raw or SummerSlam. I don't. Being nice doesn't pay the bills. That's a quote I heard. Being nice does not pay the bills or make you interesting. That's just me adding to that quote. So Charlotte winning doesn't bother me because, again, who else is able to really keep that women's division rolling and keep it sustainable? Charlotte is she's Old Faithful. Again, and people look at it as like she's purposely coming in to squash everybody. This isn't Charlotte. I mean, this is obviously Vince McMahon. This is obviously Bruce Pritchard saying, all right, so and so isn't working out. We're gonna need Charlotte to take that spot again. And if I'm Charlotte, if I'm Ashley Flair, am I gonna say no? Just let Nikki write it out. I have faith in her. I was like, no. If they're asking me to be the 27th time women's champion, I'm gonna say, yeah, of course. Whatever you want me to do. So, at the end of the day, it's all up to the boss. The stars have input, but it's not solely their decision. So, Charlotte winning, I'm fine with. Rhea to me has an identity crisis because I've been saying it for a little bit now. She doesn't know what her character is supposed to be. Like, she comes out with, this really, sick, guitar riff. This is my brutality! And she's coming out and smiling and shaking hands and, giving high fives. It's like, that's like something a heavy metal rocker would really do. Especially if you're supposed to, well, I don't want to say all heavy metal rockers, but but what I mean is, like, that doesn't seem like something a badass, heavy metal rocker would act, coming out smiles and, laughing and kissing babies. She needs to be a heel. Personally. She needs to be a heel. She needs to come out, go fucking nuts when that, riff hits, and just say, fuck everybody else. I'm here for myself. Like, that needs to be Rhea Ripley. And it kind of looks like they're maybe planting the seeds of her being a heel, because now they're teaming her with Nikki Ash. So I hope that's the thing. I hope Rhea becomes a heel. I hope she does. And Nikki seems like a sympathetic babyface. So. Next we have Edge defeating Seth Rollins in a singles match. Match was 21 minutes and 15 seconds. I liked it. This was my dark horse. This was the dark horse pick for the match of the night. And the Lucha Bros win and Varsity Blondes, lose. They just do not give a shit about Brian Pillman at all in this company. Give me a second while I catch my breath. Sorry, I ate something, so I was just trying to clear my throat really bad. This was the match of the night, and I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. I think the problem more is just Seth, because people just hate Seth. I don't want to say I hate Seth. I'm just not a fan of Seth. I'm really not a fan of Seth. I think he's way too overexposed. He's on TV too much. He needs to stay off TV for a bit. Edge is just, since coming back, he has been wanting to prove something to people, that he can still go at a high level than he used to. Like, he wants to prove that he can, that he can hang with the guys. I mean, how old is Edge? Let me look at his age. The guy is 47. He's going to be 48 this year. The guy's pushing 50, and he's out there doing off the top rope, spears. He's out there doing these crazy, spots. Like it's still 2005. So, and I commend him for it, but he needs to slow it down, because when I saw him do that spear off the top rope, I was genuinely worried. I'm like, dude, don't ever do that again. If I'm Beth, if I'm Christian, I'm going to text him and be like, don't ever do that again. Because I was genuinely worried he was going to hurt his neck. I was kind of wincing at that spot. But the highlight of the match, well, one of the highlights, was Edge coming out to the Brood theme, which was fucking dope. I mean, because he teased it on Friday, because he gave a promo where he's saying, Seth, you brought out a darkness in me, and now I need to bring it out, blah, blah, blah. And then later on the night, he comes out, with the Brood thing, which as soon as I heard the, spirit, as soon as I heard that, my eyes perked up. I'm like, what? And he just comes out and gives, the promo saying, beware, take care, because the freaks come out at night. You'll never see it coming, Seth. And he just gives that evil look. Edge is so fucking good at facials. And it's official. It's going to be Christian versus Kenny Omega at All Out. Anyways, Edge, to me, has got to be the best fucking person in the business at facials. I don't know anyone else who's good at facials. Because I remember, the night after he came back and Orton was just beating the shit out of him, like, he was really selling in the ring that he was in immense pain and that he couldn't move. Like, he was really making you believe that the guy was hurt. And I was wincing watching that segment, because Edge was so fucking convincing. He's just that good. And then, given the scary, evil vampire face, I thought was great. And just when he came out in the entrance, with the Brood theme, coming out from the ground with the fire, I'm just like, I felt like a kid again. I just thought that was so fucking cool. And it's weird because the Brood wasn't really around that much. They were really around, like, the Brood with Gangrel and Edge and Christian were only around for a year. And then, with the Hardys, it wasn't even around that long. But they really made an impact. They really did. And people remember it to this day. I would have lost my shit if Gangrel came out. I mean, because Christian coming out would have been out of the question, because, obviously he's in another company. But if Gangrel came out and walked, Edge to the ring, I would have lost my shit. And if they would have done the blood, the spitting out blood thing, I thought that would have been fucking dope. But, alas, we can't always get what we want. But I'm happy with what happened. But it was like not really a mashup of the entrances, but he came out to do the Brood entrance for like 2 minutes, and then got back into the regular Alter Bridge entrance, which at first I was like, I thought that was gonna be the whole entrance. But I understood it, because it's the best of both worlds. It's the point of this match was that it's like Edge said, Seth woke up a darkness in him, and you can tell in this match, Edge was working a much more aggressive style. And not just his safe, mat wrestling style. He was out there actually beating the shit out of Edge. Seth didn't do anything that was too reckless, because, I mean, let's just kind of be real. Seth does have a tendency to be a little reckless in the ring. I mean, I'm glad he didn't do that buckle bomb, or even attempt to, because I think that would have fucking killed me. That would have killed Edge. Jesus Christ, Jamie Hayter. Jesus, oh my goodness. Anyways, I have to focus. But Edge ended up winning with what looked like a crossface, which I was surprised by. I thought it was going to be a spear, but he speared Seth in the match earlier, but got a 2 count. I don't think Seth got a curb stomp, but he ended up getting a pedigree. It was a good back and forth match. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was, to me, it was the match of the night, in my opinion. It was amazing. The Edge wins, so good for Edge. Supposedly Edge is going to Raw, which I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, who's he going to wrestle, though? I mean, because I know on SmackDown, he's already wrestled everybody. He's already wrestled Roman, he's wrestled Seth, and now Roman looks like he's going to be preoccupied, which we'll talk about that in a bit. I mean, there might be some, fresh matchups for Edge. So we never know. Next is the WWE Championship match. Bobby Lashley defending the title, WWE title against Goldberg. That match was 7 minutes and 10 seconds. It ended on ref stoppage. So, it was surprising because this is the first time you got to see Goldberg actually sell. Goldberg has never sold his entire career, as far as I remember. But during the match, Goldberg is about to go for a spear while the ref's not looking. MVP hits him on the back of his leg with his cane, and Goldberg is selling that he has a leg injury or just an injury of some sort, or just that he's hurt, which I thought was interesting. And then Bobby Lashley just takes advantage of it by just beating the shit out of Goldberg, by just going after that leg until Goldberg can no longer stand. Like, he cannot answer the count. And so the ref decides to stop the match, which I thought was interesting. So, Bobby Lashley is still your champion. Good. The crowd actually seemed the crowd was very pro Lashley, and they were anti Goldberg. After the match, Bobby Lashley still continues to beat the shit out of Goldberg. Goldberg's son Gage gets in the match, which I was surprised. I mean, I knew it was going to happen, but I was waiting for it to actually happen. He gets on Bobby Lashley's back, and then Lashley didn't know that was him, and then puts him in a hurt lock, which I was just like, holy shit, that's a 15-year-old kid. And then what's funny is MVP gets on the mic and he goes, Bobby Lashley had no idea that was your boy. Which I think that would have been better as like a backstage segment. But, hey. And then Goldberg says, I'm going to kill you. So now we're going to continue this, unfortunately. Which I don't know when that's going to be. I mean, I'm assuming it's the next pay-per-view. Extreme Rules. Because they talked about it the next night on Raw. So, I mean, we're going to have to see, because Goldberg had said that he has 2 more matches left on his current contract. So, I guess they're planning accordingly. Main event time. Main event. We have Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion, defending his Universal title against John Cena. The stipulation was made on Friday when John Cena and Reigns closed the show out by doing another good segment. Roman telling John, if I can't beat you, then I'm leaving the WWE. So that pretty much tells you, yep, Roman Reigns is winning this. I mean, he kind of was, but this promo in general just made you go, yep, he's definitely winning this. If you already didn't think he was winning this, he's winning this. I thought it was a good match. I mean, it's the longest match of the night. It's 23 minutes, sharp. It didn't feel like it was long. A lot of offense that John was selling for Roman, which made sense for me because, John Cena isn't the John Cena of old. I mean, he can still go, obviously. He can still go at a fast-paced level anytime he wants to come back. And Roman's supposed to be the young lion. So that made sense to me. I was fine with it. I know a lot of people who had a problem with it, but I didn't. There was 3 bits in the match. John Cena goes for 3 AAs. 1, a regular one. 2, a one that's through a table. And then the third one is off the top rope. And Roman kicked out of all 3 of them. And then Roman goes for a spear in 1, 2, 3. Which, I had a problem with that, personally, because, again, I know I sound like maybe I sound like I'm contradicting myself, but it's just, why couldn't Cena kick out of a spear? I'm just saying. But again, going back to my point, this is the young lion, and Roman. This is the new, big dog, the head of the table. Cena is a thing of the past. So, makes sense to me. Roman wins in a really good match. I thought it was a really good match. I had fun watching it. I didn't hate it. I wasn't looking at my clock. I thought it was a great match. And I thought it was, a great main event. Roman celebrates, and all of a sudden you hear Brock Lesnar's music hit. And Brock is back. He has a new look. He has a ponytail and a beard. I dig the beard. I think Brock should have just had a beard his whole career. The ponytail is another story. it's another story altogether. But he's Brock Lesnar, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants. So now that's the next feud. That's the next thing for Roman, which I'm gonna assume is gonna be Extreme Rules. I mean, because when else are you gonna have that match? I mean, all roads are leading to Roman versus The Rock at WrestleMania, and The Rock is supposed to come back at Survivor Series. So, I mean, this is obviously going to be a big money match. Brock Lesnar is going to be the babyface, and Brock actually looked like he was happy to be back. Because they showed him after the show, he's shaking hands with fans, which I'm just like, who is this Brock? Like, who is this Brock? What have you done with the Brock that hates everybody? The aloof, introverted Brock. But he looks like he's happy to be back. The big wild card in this feud is obviously going to be Paul Heyman. I mean, cause how are they going to do that? Like, is Paul Heyman going to stick by Roman's side and never leave his new boo, or is he gonna jump ship over to Brock? I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens. We're obviously gonna find out what happens on Friday Night SmackDown. But SummerSlam overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great show. I'm gonna give it a B+. I'm torn between a B+ and an A-. Fuck it. A-. SummerSlam was an A- this year. Match of the night, I already said it, Edge versus Seth. I thought the main event was actually very good. The tag team match with, RK Bro, I thought was really good. I thought it was a great match. But overall, the match of the night to me was Edge versus Seth. Worst match of the night, Alexa versus Ava Marie. That was just bad. And Drew versus Jinder, because the whole point of that match was just we need something for Drew to do. So, and I don't think I would call Becky and Bianca a match. That was a squash, but that's leading to something. So I'm just gonna leave that to the side. Let's see. This came out, I believe yesterday. WWE delivers most viewed and highest grossing SummerSlam of all time, and CM Punk is coming up next. Let's see. Highlights include more people watch Saturday's event live across Peacock and WWE Network than any other SummerSlam in the company's history. The 7-figure global audience marked a 55% increase over 2020 and a 29% increase over 2019. The sellout crowd of 51,326 broke SummerSlam records for indoor attendance and gate receipts, with tickets purchased by fans from all 50 U.S. states. Saturday's live gate was more than 4 times greater than the last SummerSlam held with fans in attendance in 2019. Merchandise sales posted an increase of 155% over 2019. SummerSlam set a new sponsorship record, growing by 25% versus 2019 and 18% versus 2020. Oh man, that's a lot of math. With more than 4 million views, Brock Lesnar's return became WWE's most watched Instagram video of all time, surpassing the video of John Cena's return at WWE Money in the Bank. In total, SummerSlam videos generated more than 1 billion views across all WWE social platforms this week. So good for SummerSlam. The most watched SummerSlam ever. Like, of all time. Ever. Let's get to TakeOver. TakeOver was the next night. It was in the Capitol Wrestling Center, unfortunately. Apparently this was a pre-show match. Ridge Holland defeating Trey Baxter by pinfall in 1 minute and 45 seconds. I didn't see this. Cameron Grimes with Ted DiBiase versus LA Knight for the $1 Million Championship. If Grimes lost, DiBiase would have had to become Knight's butler. I picked Grimes to win this only before the feel-good moment, and Grimes won it. So now, apparently this feud is no more, because LA Knight has already moved on to the title scene. I thought it was an okay match, but I'm kind of glad this isn't a feud anymore. I just want to see both of these guys kind of go off and do different things. Raquel Gonzalez successfully defended the NXT Women's Championship against Dakota Kai. The match was 12 minutes and 24 seconds. I was a little surprised because I thought Raquel was moving up, but obviously she's not. And it looks like Dakota's moving up. I thought the match was okay. I mean, both seem to work well together. I mean, obviously they've been working together for over a year. So they obviously know each other's style. And one thing I always said about Raquel is that she works smart for somebody that is her size. Oh, and the Spider-Man trailer's on TV. She works smart for somebody that's her size. She doesn't try to do anything that's stupid or out of her wheelhouse. She doesn't try to do flips or acai moonsaults. No, she works her style. And if somebody tries to do that flippy shit with her, she'll work around it. But by being smart. So I'm glad she won. After the match, Kaylee Ray, the former NXT UK Women's Champion, had come out. So now Kaylee Ray's on the NXT roster officially. CM Punk is about to come out. I'm gonna watch this first and then talk about Ilya versus Walter.
And just like all of you, on Friday night, we all witnessed one of the greatest moments we have ever been a part of. Everybody ready?
It's weird hearing Tony Schiavone bring out CM Punk.
Here is the best in the world, CM Punk.
They're in Milwaukee. Oh yeah, Kyle is I believe he said he's at the show. I think that's pretty cool. They have a giant TV on the entranceway for CM Punk's entrance. Was that always there, or is that just for CM Punk? Either way, I think that's pretty fucking cool. I mean, obviously he's getting into ring shape. My question is, what is he going to wear? Is he going to wear the same Speedos, or is he going to have a different, outfit? Or, not a suit, but, wrestling attire? I know he said before in the past, whenever he re-signed with WWE, he wanted to wear, something similar to what he was wearing on the Indies. Or, fighting trunks, whatever you want to call it. Not gonna lie, I want to get that shirt. I did like that shirt whenever it first came out when he was at WWE. I liked that shirt. I don't know what happened to it.
All right. What an honor it is to share the ring with this man. Now, you were out for a long time, and I know these fans are glad you were back. Listen to this. What is the one thing that brought you back in the ring here in AEW? You can name one thing. I can't hear you, Tony.
Yeah, he looks happy. Good for him.
Thank you, and I can tell you you're just a little too loud. Can I? I'm kidding. I want all that and more, but this man here needs to ask a question.
What's the one thing, more than any, that brought you back after all these years not being with us in the ring?
The money. CM Punk brought me back.
Somebody over here said it. It's Penta El Cero Miedo. It's Ray Phoenix. It's Brian Pillman Jr. It's Jungle Boy. But before all those young names, there's one guy. So I'm going to go ahead and retire the nickname Voice of the Voiceless because I don't need to be that anymore. This place has a voice, and there's people back there that listen. You know why I'm here. Darby Allin, I watched you, I see you. You're reckless to a point of destruction, like you just want to end yourself. And I sit back and I look at a guy like you, and I look at all the other young talent here in AEW, and I say, can CM Punk still go?
Well, can he?
Does CM Punk still have what it takes? Can CM Punk still be the best in the world? And if the answer is yes, it starts with Darby Allin, because I look at Darby and I see somebody that would have been my favorite wrestler when I was 15 years old. I look at Darby Allin and I see myself. He's somebody that doesn't necessarily fit the mold of what somebody else thinks a professional wrestler is. Darby's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but god damn it, he's got heart. And if I'm going to answer those questions to myself, can you still go? Can you still be the best? Can you still be the best in the world? That's somebody else's shtick, and you might just need to be a little bit more patient, okay? September 5th, all out. It's me and you, Darby Allin, and it's a lot less about proving the haters wrong, and it's more about proving myself right. One more thing, I just want to say hi to my beautiful wife sitting at home. I love you, April. Best in the world. CM Punk, September 5th, guys, against Darby Allin, back in his home in Chicago. They are all out. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I can't wait to be there. Crowd, live crowd. Sold out. Action. Enthusiasm and maybe for me, my sake of this game, a life-changing experience on Sunday.
That was a nice promo. That was funny. He pretty much just said that Daniel Bryan's coming, or Bryan Danielson's coming. That was fun. No, that's somebody else's shtick, so you're gonna be patient. All right, let's finish out the rest of this card. Hopefully, I don't get fucked with. Well, I mean, I didn't really have the audio, so it's muffled. So I don't know how bad you hear. Maybe YouTube will try and fuck with it, but I doubt Spreaker will. Anyways, next match is Ilya Dragunov versus Walter for the NXT UK Championship. Great match. I mean, I thought it was better than the first match because Ilya just got his ass beat. Like, he got his fucking ass beat. I mean, this guy obviously likes pain. This guy, I don't know if he likes pain. This guy obviously can take pain. He can dish it out, but he can take it even worse. And by the end of the match, the guy's entire, like, front, upper body is just red. Like, it is red. The guy looks like he just got into a car accident. Like, when What's-Her-Name was interviewing Dragunov after the match, he just says something and then he kind of gives us this look like, I'm done talking. And then he just stares into the camera like a fucking nut. So Dragunov's kind of a nut. The match was good. I mean, because there was some good back and forth action. It looks believable with a guy like Dragunov to be in the same ring and to be able to exchange offense against a guy like Walter, because the personification of a lot of Europeans is that they're fucking crazy and that they can fight and they can all beat the shit out of each other. So I like the match. I thought it was great. I thought it was a match of the night. It's definitely going on my match of the year candidate list, which is a very long list, which I'll have to start trimming down to 16 after Thanksgiving. That's the plan. After Thanksgiving is when I'm going to start trimming down all my choices for match of the year and just leave it to 16. Dragunov ends up winning by submission of Walter, which I did not expect. I mean, because the idea was that Walter was going to hold on to that title for a while, but I know others like Jeff Lippman was, suggesting, maybe Drew McIntyre can go to NXT UK and challenge Walter. But that's obviously not going to happen because when you look at NXT UK, it's very tight as far as talent goes. So who exactly can Walter put that title on the line against? I mean, who else besides Dragunov? Honestly. And then now there's the talk about will he or won't he, Walter show up on, the main roster. Walter has already said, he's made it very clear he doesn't want to show up on the main roster, which he kind of has to at this point, because what else is there left for him to do on NXT UK? I mean, they can put him on NXT, and he can be like, the big badass over there and hold on to that title. I mean, that would be pretty cool. But, the point of NXT now is that we're pushing newer talent. I mean, Triple H has to be trying to convince Walter to come to the main roster. I mean, can he just tell him, hey, stay here for a year at least, see how you like it? Because Walter on the main roster? I mean, you put him on SmackDown, Roman Reigns. That'd be fucking dope. Him and Brock, that'd be really interesting. Who else do you put him up against? Bobby Lashley, that'd be interesting. Him and Drew McIntyre would be a great fight. Him and Damian Priest, him and Sheamus. I would love to see all of that. Him and Edge, I think would be really interesting. Him and Karrion Kross would be interesting. But it all depends on what Walter wants to do, and it's just like, I think he should at least give it a try. Like, if they're saying, hey, at least come here for a year. Kairi Sane did it, but then she ended up missing home and she left. Asuka did it, and, look at her now. She's been a success. I think Walter should at least try to come to the main roster and see what they're going to do with him. I don't know how they're going to do Walter's gimmick. I mean, because look what they've already done with Karrion Kross, which that's another story. But Dragunov's a new UK champion, so interesting. Next is Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole in a 2 out of 3 falls match. First match being a wrestling match, second match being a street fight, third match being a steel cage. This was the longest match of the night, 25 minutes and 20 seconds. I said it before, something about this feud has just not been working for me. I don't know why. And it's weird because you look at the two guys that are in the match. Jesus Christ, Dua Lipa's so fucking hot. She's doing that Truly commercial. She looks so fucking hot. Jesus Christ. I'm getting sidetracked. I'm sorry. Something about this feud has just not been working for me. And it's weird because you got Adam Cole, you got Kyle O'Reilly. You have two great wrestlers, two guys that have wrestled each other, billions of times. And you would think that their matches are going to be great. And this is just my opinion. Don't chop my head off. I have not liked their matches. Just something about their matches. I think the problem is that they're just too long. Like the first match, that was the non-sanctioned match. That was too long. That was way too long. And the fact that there was no blood or repercussions or bruises or scrapes, I didn't like the match. Their last match, which was Great American Bash, I thought was very forgettable. This match, I'm like, this has to prove something to me. And it really didn't, because it just wasn't that great. I'm sorry. The first fall, Kyle O'Reilly wins by a pinfall. Second fall, Adam Cole wins, which was the street fight and ended up going to steel cage. Had a very abrupt and weird ending. Adam Cole handcuffs Kyle to the ropes, and then he's about to, I guess, go for some move I forgot. Kyle O'Reilly puts him in an ankle lock. Or no, not an ankle lock. Some type of fucking leg lock that he does while he's fucking handcuffed to the goddamn rope, and then Adam Cole just immediately taps out. And the crowd started chanting bullshit. And I remember RJ had said, that it's because, Adam Cole lost. I'm like, I don't think that's because it was Adam Cole losing. I think it's due to the fact that the ending was very abrupt. And just kind of wonky and just thrown together. So, you knew Kyle O'Reilly was going to win because you knew this was going to be Adam Cole's last night on the roster. But I have not been a big fan of this feud, and it's unfortunate because I like Adam Cole and I like Kyle O'Reilly. So, it's just, to me, the feud in general has been very underwhelming. Main event time, you have Samoa Joe going up against the NXT champion Karrion Kross. Match was 12 minutes and 24 seconds, which is pretty odd for a main event. Kross coming out, scarletless again, which is odd. Samoa Joe coming out. Samoa Joe just good to see Samoa back, but he does not look very good, in my opinion. He looks very out of shape. And we'll just cut to the match. Joe looked like he was what's the term? He looked very gassed in almost immediately the beginning of the match. And any point in the match when he had to do anything, when Kross did anything to him, Joe looked like he was just, he was exhuming a lot of air. And the match, you wanted it to do well. You wanted it to be a lot better than it was. It was, again, another very underwhelming match between two guys who just don't match up together. And I think it's all Joe, in my opinion, because, again, Joe hasn't wrestled in a year and a half. This is not the Samoa Joe of old. He obviously looks like he's very out of shape and just very gassed. Whereas Kross is the opposite. Kross actually looked a lot leaner, in my opinion. And we'll just cut to the ending. Joe ends up winning with a muscle buster, which I was very surprised by because I thought it was gonna be, my plan of Kross wins and he comes out the next night and just relinquishes the title and just says, I'm done with this brand. I'm moving on to bigger and better things. But they wanted to go a different route. Because Nick Khan, I haven't seen the interview. I've heard good things, but Nick Khan has made it very clear that NXT is doing a makeover. Is going to be doing a makeover, and you're going to have a different look. So they need to get the title off of Kross and put him on the main roster already. And they just want Joe on the roster. He's obviously going to be a short-term champion. There's no doubt about that. I don't know who's going to beat him. I hope it's not Pete Dunne. I really don't. Because they've been teasing Pete Dunne versus Joe. I don't know if it's going to be Kyle O'Reilly. But I really don't know. This takeover was not very good. I mean, it was basically just a one-match show. You know, Ilya versus Walter. That was the best match of the night. That was the kind of the only match of the night. The main event was just not very good. I'm not going to blame it on Cross. I think it was Joe. I'm going to put the blame on Joe. But let's get to Cross. So the next night on Raw, he officially makes his main roster debut against Ricochet. And he comes out wearing some weird garb where he looks like he's on the set of on the set of what is it? What the hell is it called? Not Road Warrior, but what's the movie with Mel Gibson? Why am I forgetting a name? Mad Max. There you go, Mad Max. Which, obviously, that's the one thing that people focus on, and not the fact that Cross actually won in a very dominant fashion. And the talk is that they put that garb on him. They put that mat because he's worn the suspenders before. I've seen the suspenders. I've seen the gladiator get up before. It's just the mask is what really threw people off. I've seen that before. The mask was just weird. And the talk is that, in WWE, they all want you to be marketable. They want you to be able to sell toys. They want, people to buy your toys. They want people to buy your costume. Possibly if they make the helmet a thing, they'll probably end up selling that too. And one thing I've always said about Cross is that he is marketable, but as whatever the hell they're trying to push him as. Hey, this isn't me trying to give up on Cross. I'm really not. I'm not at all. I talked to Kevin Castle about this, where I showed him the picture. I'm like, dude, why? And he just said, hey, I like it. I get why. I get Kevin's point of view. I don't know if he took it as me trying to give up on him. I'm not. I even told him I'm not giving up on Cross. I'm not. I just thought that was fucking weird. And I know, as much as we like Cross is still new in this company. He's not a Roman. He's not a Cena. He's not an Edge. He can't, go out there and say, I want to do this. Vince is going to say, no, you haven't earned that yet. You're going to do this. Cross still needs to earn his keep in this company. It looks like he is, because by all counts and purposes, from a mutual friend, he's an easy person to deal with. And he just wants to do well. He wants to succeed in a company that he's been wanting to succeed in for years. So, and Kevin brought up another good point. You look at Kane. Kane was, Dr. Isaac Yankem. He was the Unabomber. He was Fake Diesel. And then he became Kane. Undertaker was, the Punisher, Big Texas Red, Mean Mark Callis, and then he became the Undertaker. Steve Austin was the Ringmaster, and then he became Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock was Rocky Maivia, and then he became The Rock. So, same thing with Batista. Batista was Deacon Batista. Holding out a collection plate for Devon. And then he became Batista. So, Hall of Famer, Batista. Well, next year probably a Hall of Famer because he called off this year, but I want Cross to succeed. I obviously do. I just thought that was just kind of weird. I know Jason Solomon had the best reaction. He's basically alluding to that he's Shredder. He's like, I'll get those pesky turtles. I liked it. I liked what Jason Solomon said. I didn't like the helmet, but I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing now. Because, at the end of the day, WWE is entertainment, and they want characters. So, I'm not going to say I won't be surprised if by next week we're seeing the same shit. So, we're just going to have to bear with it. But Cross won, so that's really all that matters. Is that they're pushing him to see what he can do. Overall, Raw wasn't really a bad show. I liked it. I thought it was pretty decent. Me and my girl watched it. let's see, they had Bobby Lashley come out and just talk a little bit of shit to the crowd. Damian Priest came out and talked shit to Bobby Lashley, so they had a match. But then, Sheamus came out and interrupted, so then becoming a tag team match with Priest and McIntyre versus Sheamus and Lashley. And then Lashley left the match and left Sheamus by himself. And then Sheamus came out and called out, or went to Bobby Lashley's locker room and called him out. So it's going to be Sheamus and Lashley next week, which that will be very interesting. I'm definitely going to tune in to see that. They had Charlotte come out and talk a little bit of shit, and then Alexa Bliss came out, so that's going to be her next opponent. Why? You tell me. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, I guess they're going to have their own alliance. Because Drew McIntyre is saying, "Hey, let's go out for some drinks." So, I mean, they're teasing their own union, but it looks like that's going to be a feud. Which I'm interested. I want to see that, but I think Drew McIntyre needs to be the heel. In the end, Damian Priest needs to go over in that feud, in my opinion. I'm trying to think. RK Bro coming out at the end of the night. Matt Riddle giving Randy Orton his own scooter, which I thought was funny. AJ Styles coming out and talking a little bit of shit, challenging Matt Riddle, which they ended up having a really good match. Randy Orton ends up taking his scooter that Matt Riddle gave him, and he starts beating the shit out of Omos with it, which that was expected. And it was a great show. Great way to close out the show. Raw ended up getting 2.67 million viewers, which is actually up from last week's. This is the highest ratings that they've had since January 4th. So good for Raw. Glad for Raw. I mean, you just hope that they keep this momentum. Oh, and the other, I guess, the highlight of the show was Miz and Morrison are no more. Miz lost to Xavier Woods, and then after the match, he's staring at Morrison like he's going to beat the shit out of him, but then kind of teases it. It's like, nah, we're good. And then beats the shit out of him. And so Morrison, cuts a promo saying, next week I'm going to, beat the shit out of the Miz. So good. I'm done. I'm glad this feud is over. I mean, not this feud. I'm glad this team is over because I want to see Morrison on his own. I want to see Morrison do his own thing and actually work with other talent. Because, again, Morrison is too damn good. I'm glad that he has a personality now. Johnny Drip Trip. But I want to see him actually work with somebody other than The Miz or other than Damian Priest. I want to see him do, other things and see other people, essentially. But, yeah, that was Raw. Raw was actually decent this week. And AEW has just primarily been a CM Punk promo for what I'm seeing. And apparently we're getting Chris Jericho and MJF again at All Out. What else can we talk about? Oh, yeah. We can't not talk about this. The Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, or not Far From, No Way Home trailer, came out on Monday. It broke on Monday. So, the trailer had actually leaked on, I believe, TikTok. Somebody actually filmed what looked like an unfinished trailer because from what I was seeing, there was no CGI in it. I could barely see anything. I was wearing glasses. So, Marvel and Sony decided to release the trailer the very next day at, like 8 p.m., I believe. And the trailer was it didn't really reveal too much, which I'm glad. I mean, they revealed enough for us to really know what we're in for. Because the trailer, begins taking off where, Far From Home, happened, which is, at the end of Far From Home, Mysterio reveals that Peter, or he frames Spider-Man for killing him and killing others. And then he ends up revealing that, Peter Parker is really Spider-Man, and then he shows his picture all over TV. So now Peter Parker is public enemy number one, which they actually show in a graphic. which is that cool Spider-Man graphic where it shows like the half mask, half face, which I think that's fucking dope. And Peter Parker's just hanging out with MJ, and I love Zendaya. I think she's fucking great. I think she's amazing. I love Tom Holland too. I love them as a couple, not just on screen but in real life. And Peter's kind of fucked over because they're not just going after him, they're going after people he loves. They're going after Ned, they're going after Aunt May to try and get information. So Peter decides to go to Doctor Strange to ask him for help. And for some reason it's snowing in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And Doctor Strange is wearing a hood. He's wearing a hoodie under his I guess his what do you want to call it? His gown? I don't know what the fuck it is. And Peter asked Doctor Strange, can you make it to where nobody knew I was Spider-Man, or that everybody forgot what Mysterio said? And then whatchamacallit? Fuck, what the hell's his name? Why am I forgetting his fucking name? Jesus Christ. I know his name is Benedict as well, but I'm trying to look at it. Hold on. Oh, I can't wait for Shang-Chi next week. Wong, there you go. Wong. I don't know why I forgot that name. Wong tells Doctor Strange, "Don't do the spell. It's dangerous." And then as he's walking out to wherever he's going, Doctor Strange just assures him, "I won't. Don't worry about it." And he looks at Peter and winks like, "I'm totally gonna do it." And so he's doing the spell and just says, "Nobody will ever know that Peter is Spider-Man." And then Peter goes, "What about certain people? What about MJ? What about Ned? What about my Aunt May?" And Doctor Strange is just saying, "Shut the fuck up. You're messing with the spell. That's not how it works." And then Peter just continues to ask questions, and the spell fucks up. And Peter's like, "What happened?" The spell he did ended up fucking with the space-time continuum. Jesus Christ, I don't know why they keep showing that injury. Oh, it's good to see him back. It's good to see Cash Wheeler back. So the spell they did really fucked with time. I don't solely think that's him though, because I think that kind of maybe opened the door. Because whatever Wanda did, caused a rupture. Whatever Kang did, kind of shook the door, and whatever Doctor Strange did opened the door. So now Doctor Strange has to essentially close the door for his sequel. Why is Don Callis wearing a pink suit? God, this guy's such a fucking creep. So now that they open the door of the multiverse, you see all these fuckers coming in. You see Green Goblin, but you don't know who it is. You don't know if it's Willem Dafoe, which it is. It's Willem Dafoe. Come on. You hear the Green Goblin laugh, and you see like the one of the Goblin. We call it the Goblin Balls. And you just hear a voiceover saying, "Be careful what you wish for, Parker." And I can't really make out if that's Willem Dafoe. I really can't. I don't know who that is. I know it's not gonna be Dane DeHaan. I know that. Like, come on. And it's definitely not gonna be James Franco. Nobody in Hollywood wants to fuck with James Franco, let alone Marvel. So it's gonna be Willem Dafoe. There's no doubt about that. They show Lightning, which is Electro, which they already announced Electro's coming back, and it's going to be Jamie Foxx's Electro. So apparently it's going to be Sandman, and it's going to be a Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman, but they haven't really confirmed nor denied that. Another one is Lizard, because there's a scene where Spider-Man is just standing in a dark room, and then he turns around and he sees something crawling behind him. And apparently that's Lizard. Dr. Kirk Connors. That's going to be the Lizard from Amazing Spider. And then, of course, the piece de la resistance. At the end of the trailer, you have Alfred Molina's Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2 coming out. Where they actually de-aged him. They de-aged him to be 17 years younger, because I believe he's like 71 years old. And he was such a great villain. I loved his villain. Spider-Man 2 is, without a doubt, the best Spider-Man movie of all time. Of all time, in my opinion. And he's one of the greatest villains. And so, at the end of the trailer, he comes out and he says, "Hello, Peter." But in the trailer, they splice it to make it look like he's saying "Hello, Peter" to Tom Holland. He's saying "Hello, Peter" to fucking Tobey. Because he's from that universe. He's from that Earth. And he only knows Peter Parker as looking like Tobey Maguire. If he sees Tom Holland, he's going to go, who are you? So obviously that scene is set up to where he's saying hi to Tobey. Because we're getting Tobey. I mean, there's a rumor that we probably won't be getting Andrew Garfield until maybe like the end of the movie or the next movie. Which wouldn't really make any sense, but because they're bringing in Amazing Spider-Man villains. But this movie's going to be fucking huge. I mean, personally, I think this should be the only trailer that you put out. Because I don't want to see anything else. Because Tom Holland said this trailer is only like the brink of the iceberg. Because what we see in this trailer, we're gonna watch the movie and go, wait, that wasn't in the trailer. Because I know in trailers they like to fuck with like the background. Because I remember in Thor Ragnarok, they show the scene where Hela crushes Mjolnir, where it looks like they're in an alley, but they're really like on some random place in, was it not New Zealand but Greenland, or Iceland, I don't know. But for all we know, everything we've seen in the trailer is bullshit. So I think that should be the only trailer we see until December the 17th, which I'm glad they're not delaying, because there was a rumor that they were going to delay Venom 2, but Sony just came out and said we're not delaying that. It's going to stay on its release date of October the 15th, which is the same day as Halloween Kills. But I'm looking forward to this. As soon as the second those tickets come out, I am buying tickets. Like, I don't care how much they cost. I'm buying those. That's going to be the biggest fucking movie of the year. Mark my words. That movie is going to be fucking huge. Is going to sell a shit ton of tickets because of Spider-Man and the possibility that we're getting Tobey Maguire back as fucking Spider-Man. I mean, because we're living in the same era where we're getting Michael Keaton back as Batman in a fucking Flash movie. Now we're getting Tobey Maguire back as Spider-Man. I mean, we're getting Andrew Garfield back as Spider-Man in the same movie with Tom Holland. And we're getting Alfred Molina. We're getting fucking Willem Dafoe. This is going to be huge. And it's obviously setting up Sinister Six. This is the sequel to this movie is going to be Sinister Six. There is going to be a sequel to this movie. Like, I can be dumb, deaf, and blind, and I will know that there's a sequel to this movie. And it's going to be Sinister Six. Oh, and not for nothing, we're getting Daredevil. We're getting Charlie Cox, I'm sorry, from Daredevil as Matt Murdock, which I fucking predicted 2 years ago. As soon as I left the theater, I'm thinking, he needs an attorney. And not Stephen Pugh, because Stephen Pugh I don't think would work with superheroes or vigilantes. It's fucking Matt Murdock, dude. It was in the comic book. It was in the fucking cartoon. It's gotta be Matt fucking Murdock. I mean, shit. If they put fucking Frank Castle in this movie, I think I will come. Like, if it's a thing of like somebody hired Frank Castle to take out this murderous, teenager, I will fucking come. Like, come on, I will come. If it's John Bernthal, I will come. Like, I will come buckets. Oh, Jesus Christ. I need to stop. Okay, that's a good stopping point for this show. I will come buckets. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for listening. See y'all next week. Shout out to Wrestling Soup, John Draper, Breaking the Apocalypse, RJ, of course, my boy, Brother Monty, Andrew Carlick, Wrestling Court, Texas Podcast Massacre. Let's see. Jeff Lippman, Garden of Doom, Hammerlock Hangover, Ruben Prime, of course, Trez, Kevin Castle, him and Baseball Chicky with their podcast, Castle and Chicky Adventures. And just a shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody. Support the Patreon. Drew Yari Show, $5 a month, gets you everything. And you can find me anywhere. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Drew Yari Show. You can find me on YouTube. Anyways, guys, take care, stay safe, have a great night, and see y'all next week. Peace.